Mhm.
Let's cook, cousin. Um,
Yes, chef.
The Bear, season 1 and 2.
I've been
So,
asking you for so
yes,
long to
okay,
watch
but
this.
let's be clear. I wasn't being like petulant like you
I
were with the
know.
boys and like refusing to watch it.
Okay, I wasn't
I was like,
refusing to watch it.
but I knew I was going to enjoy
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
I'd
yeah.
seen like bits of it. I was like, I know I'm going to enjoy it. It's not an emergency to watch it right now, and I don't
Mhm,
have time to be able to watch it casually, so it can
mhm.
wait. But season 3 was coming up. Horry had begged and pleaded for us to do it on the podcast, so I was like, right, I'll get season 1 and 2 watched. It's now an emergency. Um, we're gonna kind of ramble about this in no particular order. There's a lot of shows. There's a lot of show to it, so going through it in
Mm.
order would take forever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now, it is very well documented on this podcast that I am an absolute fiend, an absolute slut for long one takes.
Well, there's an audio bite.
Yeah, like it's crazy. Like, and the thing is, it's not even just a oh that makes me like I find it visually appealing, therefore it's good. It's very much a case of it allows actors to really act.
Mm,
The camera work has to be phenomenal, which is an art itself.
mhm.
And as a general rule, it adds a lot of movement to a scene, which
Yep.
when you need it for something chaotic works really well. So as a general rule, you see these kind of shots in action films.
Mm.
Because that's when you want chaotic, lots of movement energy. That's why they work so well. Daredevil has done it the best in an action sequence. The most recent James Bond, which is like 2 years old now, did a really, really good one and then made me audibly in the cinema. I love the cinema. I'm very quiet in the cinema. Go, oh, for fuck's sake, because they've done a beautiful one up the stairs and then cut 3 seconds before the end of the fight.
Yeah.
Infuriating. So we've loaded up. We started watching the second to last episode of the first season.
Yes.
And I've seen that it's 20 minutes. I'm like, that's a really short episode. How weird.
Mm.
It does its opening and we get going. And like this is how like in tune I am to this shit. About 2.5, 3 minutes in, I turn to her and I go, has this thing cut yet? And she goes,
Mhm,
no, I don't think so. I'm like, are these crazy bastards about to do what I think they're gonna do?
mhm.
Because when we saw it was 20 minutes, I was like, this is either going to be one of the greatest episodes of TV ever, or it's going to be really forgettable.
Mhm.
And this is like the perfect example. And I know the directors have spoken about it of where this kind of filming should be used. You've
Yes.
got this beautiful storytelling happening all in one take, and like the Bear throughout the entire 2 seasons is really good at not using too many quick cuts. They do when it makes sense for like prepping food, but when
Yep.
there's actually dialogue happening, they like long takes. And that's what makes you feel like you're in it so much, and I will die on that hill.
So,
So that episode, just living in the
well,
restaurant with them, with the tensions literally rising and bubbling to that crescendo.
mm.
Give it honestly, the Bear deserves all the awards just for that episode, forgetting how good everything else is.
So when I was in uni, I've worked loosely in a kitchen before,
Mm,
uncovered and stuff, and I'm not a chef. And when it's busy, a kitchen is a stressful place. And
yeah,
let me tell you, that episode brought back some like stress levels that I haven't felt for a while. And I was like,
yeah.
this is intense. Please, someone turn that machine off. My mind was so like, just turn the machine off, stop the orders. Um, but yeah, that
Yeah.
shot, using a one shot in that situation when there's chaos happening, just sold the intensity of that, like the pressure building in that episode, and like thing after thing going wrong. Everyone's got like there's chaos from all angles.
So really
So
it to
well put together.
build naturally over the episode.
Yes.
It didn't feel like the tension came out of nowhere because you literally didn't have a chance to cut the tension by cutting the
Mm.
scene.
Hmm.
So they could go. They literally, it was like almost a linear graph from 0 to 100 over the course of the 20-minute episode.
Yeah.
And because it was one shot, they could have the interactions as you flow backwards
Mm.
and forwards, which slowly build it up. And you feel the tension yourself because they don't cut. People don't realize how much a cut not shuts off the human brain, but it's like a little mini reset, which is very important a lot of the time. But when you want to build tension slowly, it's the worst thing to do. So just doing that just gives it that tension. It locks you in. You don't look away from the screen. No one was sat there checking their phone during that episode of The Bear.
No.
Because you're too locked in.
So
you might have been scrolling on your phone when the episode starts. You get about a minute in, you put it down, and then you don't even, because there's no cut, your brain doesn't have an easy cue to pick your phone back up. So you watch it for 20 minutes straight and you go, wow. And your heart is racing by the end, and you're like, no, why, Carmen, why are you screaming at them? Stop, why'd you throw the donut on the floor? What you doing? Why?
Wild take. But Marcus was also slightly in a wrong that episode.
Yes, no, and that's the beauty of it. Every single person was in
Fucked
the wrong
up.
in that
Yeah,
episode.
everyone fucked up in their own way, which then caused someone else to get pissed at them and fuck up. Yeah, it was just the layers of intensity. But going back to like the quick cuts with the bear, so I watched a thing about, I think it was the editors discussing, this was maybe after season 1, I don't know if it was after season 2, and they were discussing the whole thing, but they were talking about like episode 1 in particular, because for you said you watched episode 1 and you were instantly hooked, and the way that they did it and explained it is they wanted to mix quick cuts, but also like needed to tell a story and hold the moment and build that intensity up again. And they found that using quick cuts for like all the prep moments obviously sells like the intensity, how quick stuff is happening.
Urgency, work hard.
Also, if you pay attention and think back, whenever it's a bit of the story focused on Carmen, always quick cuts to sell how intense his life is. Like, think back to episode 1 when he's gone to get the jeans to sell them for some extra money. That's all quick cut, like, and it's linked with how intense he lives his life. And then it'll go to another character and it slows down. And it shows that intensity that he brings to the situation. And it's so well put together that way because they use that then throughout the show. And it's got this good balance of like the long cut, like telling the story, but also the intensity of that show and selling what a kitchen is like. So well done. Just top to bottom.
Like everything's so good. The character arcs of all the characters so well.
Season 2. So good for the character arcs.
Going from this loud mouth who doesn't give a fuck about anything to this like the episode of him at the posh restaurant.
Forks.
And then you just see that moment where it clicks. And he like turns up and he gets it, and then you like in the last episode of the season you get that revelation where he's like, I can do this if you want me.
Yes.
He stops trying to force himself on people, and he takes a step back, and it's a thing that everyone at times needs to know when to take a step back, and he never knew when to do that because he was worried if he took a step back he'd be left behind. So
he felt so bad when he was like feeling that way.
Yeah. And then he realized, wait, if I take a step back and just go, I will help if you need me to, people will come to me for help. Be there when people need me. And then eventually over time, I will build back this reputation and people will know they can count on me. And then I won't feel like I'm being pushed away. Him turning the thing round to mimic the posh restaurant and start rattling off them orders was phenomenal.
Well, so like you said, the whole story arc for Cousin, going from season 1, you kind of generally find him annoying. You hate him a little bit because he's just been like trying not to let things change. Like you say, always putting himself on everything, kind of being a bit of a dick. To season 2, you start to feel sorry for him because you start to realize why he's doing that. And it's because he's scared he's going to get left behind and everyone's learning all these things and he hasn't got a skill and he's worried. And you're like, oh shit, there's actually like more to him. Then he gets sent to do the Forks episode. And of course it's with Olivia Colman, who brings the best out in him.
My goat.
But like seeing him go in that episode from like, he arrives there, he's like, why the fuck am I here? What's the point in this? You want me to clean forks? To then starting to pay attention to things, to then it's like, oh, we need a pizza. And he's like, I know. He steps in, he's like, let me go get it. Gets it, brings it back, and then starts to like understand. And then he has that little chat with Olivia Colman's character, which is so well done. And then to that end moment where it's built up and he's coming to the end of his time there, and he's like doing taste testing. He's like got such a good vibe with all the other staff. to that point in the car when he's driving home, singing to Taylor Swift. Such a good moment for that character.
This is the thing. This is the beauty of this as well. He went there in spite. He was asked to go there. He's scared about getting left behind, so he does it, but he's going to hate it and he's going to bitch about it. He's there out of spite.
Mm-hmm.
Then he naturally starts to have fun, but he still thinks he's been sent there as a punishment. So he takes that out on Carmi. He goes back. He realizes he's legit enjoying it and not just making the best of a bad situation. Then he realizes he has to leave and he gets a little bit sad again. And then he realizes that Carmi wasn't trying to punish him. Carmi was trying to help him be better. And that was the moment, although the information had clicked in his head, the moment he clicked that Carmi wasn't trying to punish him, he wanted to help him improve, was when you saw it like the gif of someone putting it all together.
Yeah.
It was literally that. He was like, I get it. And again, the callback in the final episode. The final episode is one of the greatest wrap-up episodes of a season you've ever seen, because it takes everyone's arcs and it puts them together.
Yeah.
With him going, we're doing a special, and he comes out with the banana, the chocolate banana, which was referenced in the flashback Christmas episode.
Yeah.
Is
it's the whole point of that, paying attention to the details of the customers and like pulling things. But yeah, that final episode, like you say, being the wrap up of the whole season 2, and the fact that it's like Carmi's stuck in the fridge because he kept ignoring the one task he was meant to sort, and then it punishes him. Everything's going into chaos and everyone has to step up in their own way to make it work without needing him, was such a good arc for everybody. There's also Marcus's arc, his episode where he went to Denmark. Fucking Will Poulter's character, so good.
I knew Will Poulter was in the show like a year ago when it came out, but I'd forgotten about it. So when he arrived in Denmark and I saw Will Poulter, I was like, oh, I forgot he was in this. This is going to be great. I've heard he's really good in this. I assume it was like supposed to be obvious before the reveal that the person that made Will's character realize he wasn't that good was Carmi.
Yeah.
I picked up on that straight away. I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be really obvious or not. But I was like, okay, cool. So that was Carmi.
Yeah.
I'm loving every second of it. The beauty as well is the mirror between the Christmas episode and the final episode.
Yes.
They are setting up in season 3 the reveal that Carmi has whatever mental health condition his mother has.
Well,
I think the idea is his mum is maybe bipolar or something.
I think the idea is his mum was an alcoholic.
That's not uncommon with people who are bipolar. It's really common.
Potentially.
So I'm waiting for that reveal that he suffers the same way his mother does. And that's why we get that thing of everything's going to shit, but they managed to save themselves. At Christmas, everything went to shit and they were too immature to know how to save themselves. We've seen them all improve as characters so they could save themselves, but Carmi, like his mother, still has the breakdown, still ruins everything.
Well, it's also, I think, what I think's funny after, like, because you get towards the end of season 2, it's like, oh, he's turning it into like his own thing now, and they're like, everyone's getting better and it's cool. But you actually realize, and going into season 3, I think we're going to see this, he's essentially turning what was just the family sandwich shop, he's unknowingly turned it into the place he tried to escape, which was the Michelin star restaurant, and he can't help but turn a good thing into the chaotic thing that he is always trying to get away from.
Yeah.
And going to the Christmas episode, the fishes, 7 fishes or whatever, I said to you after you finished season 1, I was like, you thought the one-shotter was intense. That whole Christmas episode had me so like just anxious for like the family situation. I was like, this is too much. This is too intense. I don't like this.
It was like an hour and 30 minutes long. It was bordering on feature-length film. Again, it takes the same idea, although it does it in a much different way. Instead of just doing one shot, because that would have been fucking impossible, it's lots of long scenes, which still gives the same effect of the tension building all over the house. The actors that they got in for this, phenomenal. Bob Odit coming in.
Oh,
Jamie
such a
Lee
good
Curtis,
episode.
Stephen Mullaney.
Mullaney.
Really, really good. All very funny. So good. I couldn't believe it.
the family dynamic that they were able to sell was so good.
Because it's a really believable family. Yes, it's like turn up to 11, but
Mm,
it's a very believable family dynamic of all these people who are loud and obnoxious and are horrible to each other, but they do love each other. They're going to do it all again next year, probably in the exact same way.
yeah,
And then it just turns, it gets to dinner. Mikey's clearly been off doing drugs. And this is like that kind of nudge that people should have known about his problem. You
yeah,
get that scene of Cousin seeing him and clicking something's not right, but dismissing it. And
yeah,
he admits that in another episode. He's like, I kind of knew, but I didn't want to know. And then it builds, and then they manage to calm it down. And you're like, oh, they managed to save it. And then it all fucking erupts again.
yeah.
And then the car comes flying through the fucking wall.
Yes.
It's a masterpiece of storytelling. When I talk about, and like I've spoken about it a few times, and ironically they don't do it in this show, but I've said a number of times about how people get really weird about sex scenes in TV. And it's
Mm,
like this really weird thing where like we've never had like less sex on TV than we do now. Although people claim the opposite. That
yeah,
is just the truth. And people get really weird, oh, it's like so unnecessary. And I'm like, sex scenes aren't unnecessary because in a show that's trying to talk about the human experience, that is part of the human experience.
yeah,
This show is doing a masterfully good job of talking about the human experience.
yeah.
Yeah, there haven't been a lot of like relationships, so there hasn't been any natural need for a sex scene. I'm no doubt there will be at some
Bro,
point.
Carmen,
But
fuck that up.
the interpersonal relationships between people
Mm,
and how no two relationships are the same in any way are phenomenal. Like,
yeah,
Carmi and Marcus don't actually talk that much, but a lot of their interactions is Marcus wants to improve. He looks at Carmi as a inspiration because he's seen what Carmi can achieve. So he'll give Carmi a bit of food. Carmi will eat it. He'll fucking melt like this, and he'll just give him a nod and keep walking.
mm,
That is a very tight relationship.
yeah.
Whereas when it's more with Io's character,
It's been too long, I've forgotten.
yeah, the Sydney,
Yes, Sydney.
that's more of a chatty conversation. They bounce ideas off of each other.
Well,
Then
yeah,
you've got Cousin and Sydney. Their relationship has developed from this butting heads all the time. So they're thick as thieves now. Yeah, they're very different, but they're like, I need you to do this. I've got you.
you know, Neil, the maintenance guy in season 1, becomes front of
Yes.
house.
Yeah.
Matty Matheson. Do you know he's an actual chef?
No, you're joking.
He is the actual chef. He is
Oh, that's so cool.
my favorite guy and one of my favorite chefs. He has a YouTube channel. He makes some incredible dishes, like the wildest. He has
Tax the goat.
his personality in the show is like a dialed down version of his actual personality.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's really cool.
He is that like crazy. Has his own clothing line, has his own like whatnot. He is like some of the suits and stuff he wore in that season 2 are actually from his own clothing line.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I thought them suits fitted him really well.
Yeah. He is, and I love the fact that in this show he is just the maintenance guy and the janitor, has nothing to do with the kitchen. But I think also
what I'm really curious to know is how they do the chopping scenes, because at first a lot of the time it was just focused on the hands, and it's like, okay, cool, you can fake hands, that's not a problem. But in season 2 there's a lot more scenes where you can see, especially Carmi, actually chopping in a full body shot really fast, and I'm like, did Jeremy Allen White just learn to chop really fast, or are they using some cinema magic?
So Jeremy Allen White, I'm pretty sure, for season 1 went and worked in a kitchen for a bit, and I think
love the dedication.
Between, I think he, like, to prep for season 2, he got back in the kitchen, and I think with Matty Matheson being there, who I think he's helped be producer as well on
it would make sense.
Them like putting in the effort, like Jeremy going to a kitchen. There's a reason this show is actually enjoyed by chefs, and they actually are happy with how they're portraying a kitchen. Yes, it's dramatized. Yes, some things, like, put it this way, the one shot one, if that was an actual kitchen, you would have turned off the machine instantly.
Yeah.
And like,
and in an actual kitchen, you don't call everyone chef. Like, the chef's the chef. You're not going to call front of house chef.
No, but yeah, there's everyone in the kitchen will say chef.
I also noticed a really cool thing about that. Which actually makes it make sense from season 2. Coming back to Olivia Colman, my goat. You know how I feel about Olivia Colman. So she says she got a chance really late in life, and that's why she's so chill and so happy, and that's why she's doing grunt work.
Yes.
We know that both Luca and Carmi studied under her.
Yes.
She's got an environment where she calls everyone chef out of respect because she's just happy to be there.
It's
so
just how
they've learned that,
yeah.
which is why Carmi calls everyone chef. And that's
Yep.
why he says in like the first episode, I call everyone chef, it's a sign of respect. He's learned that from Terry, which is also why when Marcus turns up in Denmark, Denmark, Luca instantly calls him chef.
Yeah.
So it might seem like one of these things that's just accepted, even though that wouldn't be common to call everyone a chef unless they're actually a chef.
It's just how that kitchen's
all
run.
the characters doing it are under like a chef family tree where it does make sense. And I love that so much. This show is phenomenal. I cannot wait for season 3. I need Carmi to sort his shit out though.
Yeah. How much did it hurt when you're like, no, you're fucking up when she's on the other side of the door and he's like just blows his own world up because he's like too dedicated to the craft, thinks he can't do anything else.
He's like, no, I don't deserve love. It's like, bro, you're making food, good food, you still deserve love. Grow up.
Do you know what I did love about those final moments? The way they shot like the side on with the fridge door in the middle and you got Carmi and then Cousin. And when Carmi's like losing his shit at him because he's just frustrated and all Cousin is saying, I love you. Just like through the constant like berating he's getting, just showed like their relationship, how strong it had become. Honestly.
I adore this show so much. I only have one thing that I do not want them to fall into the trap of. I don't think they're going to do it, but it's the only thing right now they could do that would piss me off.
Okay.
I do not need a Sydney and Carmi romance arc ever. Do you know how difficult and rare it is in a TV show for a male and female character to have a purely platonic, loving friendship? It is one of the rarest relationships you'll see on TV, and they have nailed it. Them two feel like best friends who genuinely love each other with no romantic undertones. Do not fuck with that. Let them be best friends who love each other because TV needs more of that.
So I think season 3 is going to see. She obviously was sort of, they were trying to sell it as like her character was obviously feeling that way towards him because he'd been spending so much time, and then suddenly Carmi's got a girlfriend. It's like, oh, okay. I think Carmi's going to realize he fucked up, try and get the girl back. That's going to be his thing. She's going to realize, wait, this isn't actually feelings for Carmi. It's this like relationship of, oh, he sees me on the same level and a respect thing. And suddenly it's like we just want best for each other. We're both trying to do this and get what we want.
Yes.
Which is
her and Marcus I'm down for.
Yeah, I think there might be something there.
They'd be so cute.
That's the thing. He clearly like sort of likes her, but she's not realizing it.
I think she is realizing it because that was part of the issue in the last episode. Oh, sorry, going back to the last episode as well. The homage to
the donut,
the donut episode, where you've got it again. Like I said it to you, like, they pussied out of doing a longer one shot episode, but like the first half of the episode is the exact same format. It is the one shot building up the pressure. Everything starts off okay and it gets worse and worse and worse until they're having a screaming argument. And then you get the first cut when tickets start coming through again and they all twig, oh no, it's happening again. They all remember what happened last year and they're all like, no, we're better now.
Yeah, and they shift.
Richie and Sydney don't have a fight and start stabbing each other. They start working together quite literally. Instead of Marcus grabbing his desserts and throwing him on the table and going, fuck everything, him and Sydney have a quick, sorry, let's just get back to talk about it later.
The whole like rubbing the chest thing, I love that.
I'm going to sound like such a stupid little fucking fanboy here, but I don't even care. The way this story is being written is phenomenal. The way the actors are being allowed to act, phenomenal. We've not even spoken about Tina's arc yet, and it's literally my favourite arc.
Yeah. Oh, like
Tina is this older woman who's worked in this shitty little sandwich shop and given up on life at the start.
Yep.
Carmi says we're going to start calling people chef. because of her accent
Jeff.
and being a little bit
Yeah.
fuck the establishment, she
Yeah.
goes, okay, Jeff, as a joke.
Yeah.
She refuses to drop that, apart from one person, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
She then has this up and comer in Sydney come in who wants to change everything.
Yeah.
And she hates that. She's like, oh, this bitch thinks she's better than me. She gives her the most shit out of anyone. She legit wants to see Sydney fail. And then you have her bring this dish over to Sydney. Sydney tastes it and she's like, that's fucking perfect. And Tina, you literally, the actress sold it so well. She's so tense.
Yeah.
She's ready for the argument. And then she's like, oh, you're happy with it? And she's like, yeah, it's been great. Thank you so much. She goes back over and she's like, you're welcome, chef. And at that moment, Tina realizes, and it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Tina's like, oh, she doesn't hate me. She doesn't think she's better than me. She just wants to help me improve. She wants to get the best out of me. And then instantly, they form this mother-daughter-like bond where they're thick as thieves. They're working together. They're on fire. Tina gets to go to chef's school.
Yeah.
You can see how much she loves that, how much she's learning. She gets to use Carmi's knife and then she gets to keep it. And she's like, let's fucking cook. Tina's arc is so beautiful because that arc is purely about don't write yourself off. Because that's what she was doing. She was going, this girl's younger than me. She doesn't think I can do it, so I don't think I can do it. But the second that Sydney showed a bit of faith in her, she was like, oh, I'm going to do this.
That whole thing as well, like, being there for so long, and it's just like, why are you coming in and you're younger, you're coming in and you're changing everything. Things were fine. You're not better to change it. And then, like you say, a bit of like reassurance from Sydney that she's doing well. That realization of, wait, I am actually learning things and can do this, even though I was doubting myself. Then it's that arc of she goes to the chef school and she gets to learn this whole new thing and goes on this like growth thing. Meanwhile, the older guy, which I can't remember his name, Ibra, is like the flip of, he was sort of enjoying this new change up, and then it's like, oh wait, this is serious. You're sending us to chef school. Like, no, this is too much. You're pushing me too much. So then he like walks away from it to then realize I was wrong. And he comes back and asks, can I have a chance back? Can I, like, I realized I was wrong to walk away from this.
Because that story wasn't, oh, go with the flow. That story was actually, if you don't want to do something, you don't have to do it. He didn't want to change. Yeah. And he came back and found the opportunity to work the drive-through, which is essentially just a little beef drive-through. So he gets to do what he was doing before, but it's his now. He feels ownership over it. It's like, if you're not willing to change to learn, do something new, think about how you can do what you're currently doing bigger and better. This story is just full of good messages.
Oh yeah, there's so many character development, like so much for everybody. It's so well put together.
If you manage to watch the show and not on some level relate to at least one character, you might have no personality. Straight up.
I am so ready from the teaser we've seen for, I don't know if you've got and watched that now.
I have gone back and watched the teaser now that I finished the show.
Season 3 is clearly going to be, they say in the teaser, they're going to chase getting the star. They're going to grow and then it's all going to go wrong again. I can see it now.
It's all bad habits.
It's all going to come collapsing down around them. And that's probably where it's going to end the season, is they get their star and like in the chaos, but it feels like everything's crumbled. And then they're going to get the thing at the end. It's like, oh yeah, here's your star. And they're just like, yeah, but this is all fucking falling apart now.
They're going to fall back into bad habits. You're going to go back from a restaurant that was loud, like, a kitchen that was loud, but they were communicating efficiently. They weren't swearing at each other and being obnoxious. That is gonna be good for a few episodes. They're gonna start chasing it and they're just gonna deteriorate. And we are gonna once again get another mirror episode, like we did from the first season to the second season, that is gonna be repeated near the end of the third season, where they almost save it and then it goes wrong again and they can't save it. We're gonna get probably a really long shot where the tension builds. Then we're going to get a replication of the no, we can save this. And then it's going to go wrong again and they can't recover it.
Yeah.
And it's literally, they're going to fall back into really bad habits. The visual storytelling in this show is some of the best I've seen in a TV show. And the beauty is, it's not so subtle that by noticing it, you feel like you're watching it too intensely. but it's also not so obvious that it's being spoon-fed to you. They've hit that really difficult to hit balance where everyone who's paying attention will go, oh wait, that's a parallel. That's a nice little coming together moment, and the people who aren't paying attention will just miss it. So good. It's one of them shows that I cannot recommend enough.
I kind
so good.
I see season 3 is going to be the chase for the star, and I don't think they get it, and I think it goes wrong. And I don't know how long this show is going to go on for, but if it was my prediction,
6 seasons in a movie,
you're going to see season 4, maybe they do get the star. And I think it's going to, the story's going to build to a point where they get this Michelin star restaurant, and then they realize this is like Carmen's going to realize this is everything I tried to get away from. Why have I chased this again? And something tells me they go back to being like the most well-run beef sandwich shop.
Yeah.
Like it all just goes simpler again because they realize.
I completely agree. I think season 3 is them trying and failing for the star. Early in season 4, they fix it and get the star. And then by the end of season 4, they realize the stress of keeping a star is too much. What they want to do is be organized and efficient with like a really fun menu, but original beef style.
Yeah.
And it'll be like the beefy bear or some shit.
The beefy bear.
Yeah. TM. I've trademarked it.
Disney can't have it. So excited for season 3.
So good. I could ramble on about this show for 12 million years. People have seen me get passionate before. They've probably just watched and gone, Connor has some strong feelings about that show. And as always, Olivia Colman is my goat. I love her so much. Anyway.
One last thing. I'm pretty sure this was around the same time Secret Invasion had just finished, is when this came out.
Probably, yeah.
So I'd gone from watching Olivia Colman being this like ruthless spy to
just the friendliest chef ever.
Friendliest chef in the world. It was so jarring, but so great at the same time.